Hey, you guys. I am back already, right? After last night, we had our live chat and I'm back already. So, you guys see the topic. We're going to be talking about types of users, signs that you are being used, and what you can do about it. Okay. And you guys know I love having these emotional maturity conversations. Take what you can to help you on your journey. And with that being said, we'll just go ahead and get into the topic. All right, so I came up with a list, you guys, of different types of users. And this is more so, of course, to help you be able to identify them. It helps you on connecting dots, right? So the first one that I have on here is the type of user that just has no boundaries. This type of person, their mother can get it, you know? And I would call this type of user a monster. Like they have no type of conviction, no type of remorse, no type of empathy to, getting their selfish needs met in any type of manipulative manner. So, yeah, this person, like I said, they would use their own mother, you know, or anybody that you would think, like, man, like that's cold. Yeah. And yeah, that's the worst kind for sure. These people will do stuff to children, like they just all they care about is getting their goals met or whatever it is they're trying to accomplish there. So they'll use whatever it takes to get that done. All right. The next one I have is when you're another type of user is the kind that uses someone as their outlet to use. Now this is a little bit different. So this could be like a person who's actually given to everyone else and then turn to one person to use. So you're watching them, be a sacrificial lamb for everyone around them. And then when it comes to you, like they're just using you. Yeah. So a type of user is basically when they find someone to be their outlet so that they can be a user, or take on that role. And they might dump on you, you know, and this is where someone could be using someone as their emotional dumping ground and such things as such. So, yep. Then there's the type of user, you guys, that's more like a tit for tat type of person, and it might feel transactional at that point. It's like a quid pro quo. You rub my back, I rub yours. Like if you do something for this person, it's like they won't feel rested until they do something for you. And a lot of times, this might be a person who doesn't want to feel like they owe somebody something. It's something mental and psychological within them where they feel like they have to balance these scales or something of that nature. It's not the worst type of user per se, but there are times when you can receive and enjoy that and not feel like you have to do something in return. So there's definitely, something that person needs to address in that, you know. The next categories of users that I have here is where I just broke them into different subsections where, of course, someone can be a financial user or someone could use people emotionally and psychologically, like for ego boost, for instance. Someone can use someone sexually. Someone could use someone if they're like a classist type of person or for social status or for the association, of course. So this is like a social climber. Someone could use someone for a fetish, of course. And then I made a category called like shadow dumping. This is like when someone's using you to dump their shadow side on you, like in all types of abusive ways. Someone could use someone for their intelligence and for their ideas, of course. And then someone could definitely use you for service, where you'll feel like their personal assistant or their flunky, or, you're laboring for them, or, they're always giving you things to do. That's something that could definitely happen. All right. The next thing I have is like a lazy user. Now, this type of person can do for themselves, but they'd rather you do it. These people aren't that ambitious, and They're perfectly happy with delegating things and letting people do stuff for them that they should be doing for themselves, you know. The next one I have is like a short-term user. This is a person that might get in and get out of a situation. And they might have the mentality, it's a dog eat dog world. And they may be really strategic and they have one goal. And once they get that goal, they will like disappear out of your life. Like they're just in it to get something quick. And these are usually, you know, the scammers that are just trying to get in and get out and keep it moving type of thing. All right. And on the opposite end of that, of course, we would have the long-term users. And usually there's elements of codependency in this type, but if they could use you forever, they will definitely be doing it, you guys. I also have on here the fill my cup type of user. And honestly, even I would say like empaths can be in here as well when they're not, you know, operating out of their emotional maturity and they haven't done enough work. And this is where, you know, you're making somebody else responsible for your happiness or, you know, to make you feel whole or to keep you distracted, perhaps from the things that you should be addressing in life. And with that being said, I have placeholders as well. And this is a placeholder is basically, you know, they know you're not the one or they know you're not where they should be, but something is kind of better than nothing. And you are fulfilling some type of needs for now that could suffice until, you know, the person is getting into a situation that could really satisfy them on a greater scale. I have religious users on here, and I had to separate that because I could have easily put that in with all those little subtopics that I came up with when I talked about financial, emotional, sexual, social classes, fetish, shadow dumping, you know, and all those things that I just mentioned. But I had to put religious separately because I felt like it deserved it. You know, and this is basically where someone is using God and religion to get you to do things that God isn't actually asking you to do, but the person is manipulating you through religion. That's a real thing for sure. I also have a healthy user, because I don't want you guys to think as users are all bad. We all consume one way or another. So you have to know that out of your emotional maturity. We're all using something and someone. It's just, you know, all of us aren't reciprocating or balancing it out appropriately. But some people are healthy. And it doesn't mean like every time you do something for me, I got to scramble and do something for you. But it just means that, you know, we have a healthy relationship where we do for each other as it seems logical and appropriate for the type of relationship that we have. And it's not necessarily a tit for tat, but we do acknowledge, you know, each other's efforts, and it's appropriate, you know, it's appropriate. And we're, you know, able to be vulnerable with one another and not feel like it's, like I said, a tit for tat. But it is a situation like, man, you were there for me when I was sick. Of course, if you fell ill, I'm going to remember that. And of course, I wouldn't mind being there for you, you know. But it leaves way for a person to be human. So not to where I have to mirror you exactly on your efforts as the tit for tat type of user would be. All right. So that was a part one of me, you know, basically listing different types of users. Of course, there are other users, you guys, and we could get more specific about it if we wanted to talk about mental illness and personality disorders and stuff like that. But that isn't what I was going to be putting on this list. That's not where I was really heading with the conversation. Okay. So let's talk about signs of being used. We can move on to that part of it. And you would think it would be obvious, but maybe, you know, I would say in a channel like this where people are dealing with narcissistic people and mass manipulators, possibly, it might get a little bit confusing when they're love bombing you. and their Stockholm syndrome, or they may be doing just enough to make you question your own feelings on this person's true friendship and alliance towards you. So that can make things confusing. So let's talk about some pretty black and white ways to tell if, the signs of being used. If you're always saying yes to someone and they're always saying no to you or nothing, I have to add that, because most people just say if they're saying yes and you're saying no. But if you're saying yes, they're saying no or saying nothing. They're not like offering to come and try to be a part of a solution for you ever, or much or consistently, or they're offering and dropping the ball. Like, something's wrong with that picture if you're consistent and you show up for them. That's just like an obvious black and white thing here. And there's always some excuse as to why they can't try for you or do what's in their capability to do. How about the fact that they may only make contact with you when they need something for you? Now, I'll also say with this, some sophisticated users may invest more into you to build up to asking you for whatever that is strategically. And I've like personally just seen this stuff play out even in my own life, where someone like calls me 3 days in a row, and then on the fourth day, bam, they're asking me for something. I'm like, oh, okay, this was the lead up. Stuff like this is real, especially if people think you got something to give, or, they'll try. They will try. This is why people, when they hit the lottery, they don't want to tell people, because people can be selfish and self-serving for sure. Another sign that someone is using you is that they don't listen to you. You're talking to them, but they're not really paying attention. You find yourself repeating, or certain things that would be very special and sensitive, you're sharing with them, and you come to find out they weren't even listening when you were divulging this stuff, because there's not a lot of care there, and they're only really just there as a shell. They're not really trying to be intimate with you. They're not really trying to make the connection. They're just trying to make it appear like it. That this person is just even bad at the appearance, because you got to listen whether you care or not, right? But no, they're not going to remember your favorite this and your favorite that, and then use it later on and surprise you with this and that because they were listening to these little details. Absolutely not. So they're bad listeners. They are bad listeners. And that comes back to bite them in the butt with someone that's actually paying attention and being a good observer, like I was talking about in the last live chat. So this person is also going to be asking you for favors, right? They're not going to be bashful about that. And if they don't ask for the favors, of course, they may be very suggestive or passive aggressive, or they might be dumping all these issues to see if it will trigger you into, wanting to help them. They may not be as appreciative, and this is, when you're dealing with narcissistic people, they're going to feel entitled to your help. And when they're using you, they feel entitled to using you and taking advantage. Their life may be full of drama, and that might look like them not taking accountability or trying to pass the buck on other people. And it gets dramatic if other people aren't showing up for them, and they're looking for other people to clean up their messes, and it just makes a bigger ball of mess in their life. But yeah, people who are in that type of state, it's hard for them to really be there for other people anyway, because they're in survival mode. They're just trying to make it to the next day or whatever. So, they're looking to be rescued. They're looking for an answer because they've been probably highly irresponsible, right? So there may be a lot of empty promises and future faking. And this is in order for them to get something now from you because you think you will get something later from them, right? So if I can get you to believe that I'm going to deliver something at a future date for you, then perhaps you'll think, well, it's worth the investment now. And then when later comes, they do this goal posting thing where they're pushing it back further, or they've just disappeared and the future just never even comes, really. So this next part about signs of being used, I really want you guys to pay attention to this, because this is important, and I don't really hear people mentioning it. But feeling used, yes, feeling used is a sign that you're probably being used. Like your soul, your spirit, a lot of times we want to downplay these things. But if you are doing something and it doesn't make you feel happy, and we should be joyful givers, right? If you're interacting with someone or you're exchanging this energy and something feels off about it, or you actually feel like you're getting the short end of the stick, or it doesn't feel right, like you're feeling used, that means something. And it's something that you shouldn't be ignoring. That feeling is something that you need to think about. Like, why am I feeling that way? Is there some validity to this? Chances are it is. So, feeling used, we don't downplay that, because that is a sign that you're being used. Okay. Now, what can you do about it, you guys? First of all, stop. Assuming that you've accepted, this person's been taking advantage. They've been trying to use me. First of all, just stop doing it. Because people ultimately, of course, can only do what you're allowing them to do. All right. So you have to set the appropriate boundaries at that point, and whatever it's going to look like in that situation. So you're going to stop. You're going to learn how to say no and stop feeling guilty, because this is a big thing right here. And I'll talk about that for a second. Feeling guilty because you've placed this person on a high level in your life. Like, you made them your friend where they're not your friend. So you got to shift out of that energy now. So you feeling guilty about saying no, or now you're going to have to renege on some of those future promises that you made, because you should. Number one, you're adjusting to this person's energy. Why should you still be fulfilling these obligations when the person is making it clear about where you guys are now? Now that it's revealed to you, now that the picture is clearer to you, absolutely, you have to make the adjustments. Why would you still doing it? It's like, why would I still waste my energy and time when I know that it's shallow, when I know that this person was just in it for what they could get? So we can't feel guilty about it. We should feel happy that you know about it to be able to make the change, not feeling guilty about it. And along with not feeling guilty, you guys, don't feel obligated. And it's psychologically, I can understand where this begins to happen, especially if it's been a codependent situation and you've created a pattern of helping this person. Then you start actually feeling obligated, because it becomes a not pattern isn't the word I'm thinking about. Not repetition, but I can't find the word right now. If somebody knows, they can put it in the chat. But it's become a can't think of the word, but basically, a cycle that subconsciously you're just used to doing this over and over. So it'll create the feelings of obligation, although you're not actually obligated. If we're looking into the logic, because we're tied up in our emotions right now and our patterns, you're really not obligated. You made yourself obligated. So you need to make yourself unobligated now, right? The next thing we would have to do in these situations is to learn how to emotionally detach, of course. That would help with the not feeling guilty and not feeling obligated, and learning how to say no. Your emotions aren't getting in the way, because I'm able to shift with where we are right now. Yeah, at one time I thought we were here, but now that I know that we're not, of course, I need to emotionally detach, because I'm giving you too much of them at this point. And now that will come back to bite you in the butt if you don't make the adjustment. So why should you even keep treating them on that level when it's obvious that it shouldn't be on that level anymore? that would be called being a glutton for punishment and actually self-sabotaging and setting yourself up to be used. All right. Definitely learning to be independent, right? In healthy relationships, we're interdependent. And then in unhealthy relationships, unless it's with a baby, of course, we would be codependent. So if you're more independent nature, you be willing to walk away, right? And that's the next thing that I had on here is being willing to walk away from the situation that you know doesn't serve you. And how dare someone come and meet a beautiful person and try to take advantage of them, right? So you should be, more protective of yourself and your energy and your resources at that point, and not wanting to, put yourself in a bad situation at that point. And taking your lessons from previous situations, or just even taking your lesson from that current situation and increasing your emotional maturity, you guys, you'll be able to help protect yourself in these situations. And it can happen to anybody, but your ability to make the adjustments once you see what you need to see, or once it becomes clear, that's the difference between a person who's operating out of self-love and emotional maturity and one that's, in a toxic energy and maybe struggling with their shadow side, right? Yeah. So I really breezed through that. Those were the notes that I had, you guys, about, different types of users and the signs of being used and what you can do about it. So this is going to be a shorter live chat. So at this point, I'm opening the floor, you guys, to anyone that has any questions or anyone that's having a rough day, any concerns, anything. I'm willing to stay a little bit longer if someone has a topic they want me to address with them. Like I said, my live chats are a good place for that. My channel is one of the ways that I give back, and I do enjoy coming on here because I'm a psychology junkie. So, and I like talking about philosophy and the human mind and why we do the things that we do. And I also help other people. I like helping other people connect with that because it's only going to benefit you in every area of life. Like not just, we talk a lot about personal life, but even professionally and just period, like socially, emotional maturity is invaluable. You know what I mean? Like it's priceless. It's something that it will help you in life, and it will continue to help you when you get to higher levels of it, right? So like I say in all my videos, you're welcome to subscribe to my channel and it lets me know that you appreciate the content. And if you want to work with me one-on-one, you are able to go to my website, lakiacrawford.com. I've done private coaching for years, and I've coached people on every continent, you guys. And a lot of people have done a lot of groundworks with healing inner childhood wounds, getting out of narcissistic abusive relationships, and even professionally to the ones that were balancing their emotions at work and whatnot. Yeah, I've addressed a lot of things with people. So I'm definitely still at your service. You can email me at coachlakia@gmail.com as well if you're a little bit bashful and don't want to post on here. All right. And I see people are coming in, but we are wrapping up the live chat. You can always go back, though, and listen to the replay. All right, you guys, I hope that you're listening, and not only just listening, but taking the information and using it to help you on your journey, of course. And with that being said, you guys have a great day. Keep investing in yourself, and keep loving on yourself as well. Never give up on yourself, okay? And until next time, you guys, take care.